Hi everybody, and welcome to the full moon in Cancer horoscope and taroscope for the 29th or the 30th of December, depending on where you are in the world. So this is an interesting full moon because we started the year, the first full moon in 2020 was also in Cancer, but it was a lunar eclipse. And then we had a solar eclipse in Cancer on the solstice of this year. And so Cancerian energy has been a big theme. You know that most people in the world have had a lot more experience with their home, with their family, more time with their family, more time at home, or reconsidering what these things mean. A lot of people have actually moved this year. And one of the things that is so apparent about Cancerian energy is that it is our childhood, it's our emotions, it's also our divine feminine energy, our ability to receive. And so this full moon is quite an emotional one. It always is when the full moon is in Cancer, and I think that it's very interesting when it falls in late December around the holiday season when people are spending more time with their family. Before we get too much into the aspects of the full moon, because Cancerian energy is very much associated with womanhood, and because Uranus is very much associated with freedom, I've decided that all the proceeds of this video, all the revenue is going to be going to Women's Aid. It is a charity to help women that have been victims of domestic violence or emotional abuse. And the reason that I've picked this specific charity is very much to do with the full moon. It's very much to do with the fact that, I don't know what it's like where you are, but where we are, there is another lockdown, and lockdowns in 2020 have actually increased abuse in the home, obviously, because people don't have as much of a reprieve, and it can be very difficult for people to get out of those situations. So charities like that really do help, and also in the spirit of the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, the humanitarian aspect I think is really coming through for a lot of people. For me, that fell in my 11th house, so a lot of it is to do with giving back as much as I can. And one of the ways that you can help me with that is just by not skipping the ads. You don't even have to make a donation. Just watching an ad, even as they're incredibly annoying, will help this cause. So that is just something that I wanted to put out there. I will be posting how much goes to it, how much we can actually make with this video. I know these videos don't typically get that many views. None on my channel really do at the minute anymore. But usually the full moons, new moon ones get the most. So that is something that I am putting out there, and hopefully the universe will hear me. So the energies of this full moon, it's the way that I've seen this personally is that I see this as Cancer energy being very linked to your past. It's very linked to your first parts of your life where you're emotionally programmed. We think that things like attachment styles typically generate in your first 5 years of life. You know, you form a lot of your emotional habits for your relationships to come. And of course, other experiences happen people in life that means that they change their view in the world. You know, things like emotional abuse or physical abuse or anything like that changes a person's perspective in the world. And the programming that we have in ourselves, I think, really comes to the fore around a Cancerian full moon. Our fears, our beliefs about ourselves, our inner child really wants to be heard around a Cancer full moon. And it's important that you give it that voice, that you give your inner child that voice. One of the ways people heal their heart chakra is actually, or even their attachment trauma, is by putting a picture of their 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old self on their fridge, or they carry it around with them in order to stay connected to little you. And that's a very healing thing, because a lot of your decisions then are made based on nurturing that relationship with your inner child. So for the Cancerian full moon, I think a lot about nurturing yourself, nurturing your soul, nurturing your heart, and being very present with your inner child. Now, this full moon has a lot of support, and it has support from Uranus, and Uranus is in Taurus. So we know that Uranus in Taurus is it's shaking up our security quite a lot. It's been very clear since 2018 how much our values have shifted and where we have redefined our sense of security. So because there's a harmonious link here, I see Uranus as a very liberating energy. an energy that wants to liberate us from past emotions, past experiences that feel like they're holding us back from divine feminine energy. So, even if you don't identify as a female, if you're very much confident in your masculinity, you still have divine feminine energy within you. And most people, due to the nature of society, are more comfortable with their feminine energy when they're receiving, when they're receiving something, be it a manifestation of your desires, be it a gift. People are more comfortable receiving typically, and then not even all the time. A lot of people feel unworthy for receiving. But with this energy, it's liberating yourself in a way that feels very nurturing, that feels very calm, that feels very secure. And Uranus is full of surprises, so the way that you come around freeing yourself from whatever it is that is holding you back emotionally could be quite surprising. It could be something that you didn't see coming. It could be, I think for most people, a very pleasant surprise based on the aspects of this. There is a harmonious link between the full moon in Cancer and this fixed star at 9 degrees of Cancer that rules good health and it rules honor. I believe I saw that on the Astrology King website, if you want to look him up. But it's a very harmonious full moon to process some emotions. It doesn't mean that emotions won't come up. And because we're so insecure about divine feminine energy as a society, people typically try to do the opposite of freeing themselves emotionally. They think freedom is running away from it, pushing it down, not feeling into it, not expressing it. A lot of people find that it is very hard to be vulnerable. It is very hard to express feelings. And I think a big part of that is because the less you express feelings and the less vulnerable you are as a person, the more it builds up, and then your emotions start to dominate you. They start to rule you. And then whenever you open up, it's like this tornado. And when that happens, the reactions you receive from people maybe aren't quite what you would need in that moment because it has festered. So if you can find a way to liberate yourself a bit emotionally around this full moon, I know that a lot of people can't liberate themselves physically. You can't go very far. I personally, from an astrology perspective, would have seen this as the beginning of 2 weeks where maybe people actually start to find a lot of liberation in the home. So we'll see how that goes, but I know that the astrological influences for January are really quite tricky to navigate, and they will include a lot of Uranian energy. So this full moon is a beautiful time to release yourself from any emotions that can be very eruptive in the next month. And if you allow yourself to process some feelings, they won't bite you as hard in January. You'll be more in touch with Uranian energy. It's funny in astrology that sometimes the historical context of societies comes through when we're talking about planets. A lot of people have this fear of Saturn and they have a fear of Uranus, and the reason being that with Uranus, people typically throughout history have viewed change, especially social change, as a scary thing. People are inherently scared of change, even though life itself is just one big transition. And there is an expression that we are so free we choose bondage. I don't know who said it, but I think I understand what they mean when it comes to Uranian energy. It's being very scared of your own freedom, because what would you do with it? And so we've all had to think very hard this year about what freedom actually means. And from a Cancerian perspective with this full moon, a lot of the time it starts with feeling emotionally free to accept your feelings, emotionally free to express your feelings, free to be who you are within the family unit, knowing that it's okay to be different to your family, knowing that it's okay to follow a different path, knowing that it's okay to break free of any ancestral karma, and knowing that you don't actually have to live out the same emotional experiences, and that it's simply not true that you're destined to marry someone exactly like your father or exactly like your mother, or, relationship history in your family doesn't have to repeat itself. Those type of things are important to liberate yourself from the idea that you will become anyone in your family you have an issue with, or that anybody in your family that is a bit different from you is a problem even. You can have differences and still get along. So the way that I see this full moon is, in one way, very nurturing. In other ways, it could be possibly quite eruptive for many people, because Cancerian energy is a very soft underbelly to quite a strong pair of pincers. And the Cancerian crab, the crab typically goes sideways whenever it is in battle. And really, one way to figure that out for yourself is to figure out what you're actually running from. What it is that you're actually trying to get away from. And most likely it's possibly something going on within you. It is possibly a pattern repeating itself from your childhood. It's a pattern repeating yourself from past relationships. And so with this full moon, it's very important to be gentle with yourself and okay with having feelings that you don't necessarily like. A lot of feelings that are going to come up for people around this time, I think, generally are going to be feelings where you feel very vulnerable, you feel very soft, and you feel very exposed. But with Uranus there, you can really liberate yourself and feel a bit more free in your emotional experiences to come in 2021. I think as well with 2020, I don't know about you guys, but I think most people that I know, self included, have felt very much like you've had to sit with a few things that ordinarily you wouldn't have had to sit with. Or you've had experiences where you've really gotten to know yourself emotionally and what's really going on with you. And with the Great Conjunction, I do believe that a lot of people felt that they would wake up feeling completely different on the 21st, and maybe you did, and maybe that's wonderful. Some people, and especially around this full moon, will feel very triggered by pain bodies, by past experiences. They'll feel very triggered by childhood wounds. They'll feel very anxious about their life and about their emotional experiences. And that is okay. That is actually so that you can have a breakthrough moment and process it and go beyond it. And nothing in life is ever completely settled anyway. Just because you can bury something at 1 year of your life doesn't mean it's going to come up later. Doesn't mean that it won't come up later. In fact, it very likely will. But the more that you're comfortable sitting with feelings, the easier they are to process, and the less they're going to haunt you or manipulate you. So that is the energy that I have picked up with the astrology. That's the vibe that I'm getting from the Cancerian full moon and the Uranus aspect. So I do have a few cards drawn and the astrology drawn for each sign. The timestamps, as usual, will be below. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy new year. If you're celebrating it the best way you can. I think based on this full moon, there is a lack of feeling that this year is truly over for many people. But based on the astrology in 2021, and we'll maybe do a little video on this in the next couple of days, but based on the energy of 2021, I do feel that when we've exited Capricorn season, which would be nearly the end of January, I do feel like we'll start to, I don't want to use the cliche, see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I think a lot of people already do in terms of their own journey, in terms of their own perspective. And I know that certainly a lot of people don't, and really don't feel that way at all. But I do feel that by the end of January, when we exit the Capricorn energy that is, again, potent, albeit in different planets, I do feel that we will be in a very different spot. And I think people will feel a lot more free when we move into Aquarius season. So that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for the support this year. Thank you so much for contributing to the channel by liking, subscribing, purchasing extended readings, purchasing general readings, private readings, everything like that. You've all been incredibly supportive and I'm incredibly grateful. It has been, I think, 3 years since I started this channel, because I started it in November and it was December horoscopes were my first, I believe. So thank you again for all these years of support, especially the people that are regulars here. So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a very beautiful new year and stay safe. Bye. Hi Cancer, welcome to your full moon in Cancer reading. So the horoscope for you with this full moon in your sign is incredibly clear. 2020 began with a full moon lunar eclipse in your sign. And true to form, it ends with a full moon in your sign, you being a sign of home, you being a sign of family, of security, with so much of the world locked down this year. For you personally, it is a little bit like an emotional lockdown, I think. It's about getting very much acquainted with your inner world, your inner realm, your inner sense of self, and being a little bit, aware of where you've been stuck there, where you have been trapped, where you have been restricted. And this full moon for you, because it is no longer an eclipse, and because it is in harmonious aspect to Uranus and Taurus, Cancer, this full moon for you is all about freeing yourself from your own identity, from the way that you have viewed yourself, the way that you've seen yourself, the labels you attach to yourself or you received from friends, from the groups you associated with, from the causes you put yourself into. All of that comes into question. And it's about going for an emotional release. And for a lot of you, I think your cards are very true to form. We have the Page of Swords, Three of Cups, and the Page of Cups. Cancer, it's all about speaking your feelings, your friendships, your communities, the associations, the charities that you find yourself working with. Perhaps you're making a change there. Perhaps for a lot of you, you are moving away from an unhealthy friendship group. Perhaps for many of you, you have realized how dear a certain friend is to you. And perhaps for many of you, you've realized that you can count on your friends. You can talk to them. You can be part of a society, part of a group outside your home. You can be part of a cause. You can be part of a project. You can make new friends. Oftentimes with Cancers, it can feel somewhat challenging, I think, to step out of your own emotional belief systems, particularly ones that you have found a strong identity with. Everybody does it. Everybody has things they identify with. Oftentimes they are things external to the soul. So for you, this full moon is very much to do with understanding who you are at an intrinsic level and who you are on a soul level, especially in regards to people around you. I think for many of you with the Three of Cups and the Page of Cups, there is a balance to be found between opening up to your friends emotionally, celebrating your wins with friends, and also noticing who doesn't clap when you win. There's also something to do with that. There is also a decision for many of you in terms of those you associate with, where maybe you have found someone's words to be quite hurtful and you have the courage to stand up for yourself in that regard. With Uranus being in Taurus, there's a lot of genius comes to you in terms of your long-term goals, but it requires you to let go a little bit at a time. We can't pick up something new with just the two hands we have if we're always holding on to everything we've ever received, or we're holding on too tightly. That's not healthy either. But because this is well aspected, it releases you, it gives you a sense of freedom, it gives you a sense of excitement. And for many Cancerians, especially Cancer rising, the ability to meet new friends, new connections, very eccentric friendships, eccentric connections, be part of a bigger picture, especially charity, but also humanitarian movements. All of this is very much highlighted under this full moon. And it really is giving you a sense of excitement where you felt emotionally stuck. But for those of you that are feeling a little bit anxious, don't be afraid to reach out to a friend, to connect to somebody, to open up to somebody, to express that, especially if it is, Three of Cups, Page of Cups, a partner. Some of you seem to, particularly with, so much of this mass exodus of the Capricorn energy, but then going into Capricorn season, with the sun being there and the full moon being in your sign, some of you could be getting engaged, some of you could be getting married, and some of you could be forming more intimate, important connections in Capricorn season, especially as there is actually a new moon coming up in Capricorn, which is the new moon that follows this full one. So there is quite a fresh breathing in of excitement for you. It's nice to have a little bit of water energy in the equation when we're having such an air and fire heavy sky, you know. And although we've moved out of so much strong Capricorn energy and we are moving into a little bit more, you know, it does feel like the themes of the Capricorn energy aren't entirely through. There are a few new starts to begin where you have done some cleansing out, and this full moon is for you to release the identity issues that have plagued you, who you thought you were, and realizing that you were actually always so much more. So that is all I have for you, Cancer. Have a beautiful full moon, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Leo. Welcome to your full moon in Cancer reading. So, Leo, the horoscope of this full moon is really examining your deeper feelings, your deeper subconscious, your fears, and it is pulling up some of that energy in order for you to release yourself in terms of your long-term goals, in terms of your status, and in terms of your career. So one of the things, Leo, with this energy that I think for you is very important is seeing where a lot of your fears or your shadow side is holding you back from making some bigger moves in terms of your goals and career. What is it that is preventing your progress? Because this full moon is very much about tearing that down. And the way to do that is to see and understand what is driving you on an unconscious level. Because what drives us on an unconscious level oftentimes will continue to do so until we bring it to the light, until we bring it to the surface, until we understand that it is actually a problem, that it is actually a pattern, and that it is not being driven by a particular purpose that we're aware of. Because we can go after goals all we want, but if we're driven by some type of internal desire that is actually more to do with the root of self-sabotage, an internal desire that makes us act in a certain way that prevents us from getting what it is that we want because it's familiar, then we don't get it. For you, the way that you find this out is important. The way that you understand this is important because it's serendipitous. It's something that you can't ignore. It's a sign. It's a dream. In fact, you know, for a lot of you, your dream life, your dream analysis is important at the minute because your subconscious mind around this full moon will be throwing you a lot of wacky dreams, a lot of strange emotional impulses, a lot of fears, a lot of wonderings, a lot of suspicions. You know, maybe it's making you want to act out. It's important though, with the Wheel of Fortune here, with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius after the Great Conjunction, it's important to anybody who wants to achieve anything in their life to keep their conscience clear, to keep acting from a place of good karma, of good integrity, because that's for you where you will see the most growth. But there are some issues from the past going on inside your head, you know, something that you can't stop repeating. Maybe it's a cycle, maybe it is a type of relationship, maybe it is a habit, maybe it's an addiction. But you keep repeating this and it is preventing you from succeeding at something. And I do think because of Uranus being in your career zone, maybe it is to do with a long-term goal. And you know, it's more to do with your status. So I want to explain this a little bit. Your status doesn't have to be your job title. You know, because the 10th house can also be retirement. But certainly the status is how you would like to be remembered or how you would like to be seen. You know, for some people that is being married. For some people that is having children. For some people that is reaching a certain level of success in their career. For some people that's driving a certain car. But for you, whatever it is, it's very clear, Leo, that it is being prevented by something that is going on inside you. And I do think for a lot of you, it's a desire to, you know, it's a desire to do well in something, but with the rationale maybe being a point of fear for you, fearing that you can't have it, fearing that you're not enough to succeed at it, fearing that you're not going to reach that point because of XYZ, whatever that reasoning is. And this full moon is a beautiful release because the Uranus aspect is freeing you. You're being liberated. with the sign of Taurus. So you're being liberated in a way that is challenging, but it's oh so rewarding. You're being liberated to be more independent, to be more free, to be more ambitious even, or to change what you think your ambitions should be. But all of it is there, Leo, so that you can get towards it. And around this full moon, if you feel like there's some old fears coming up, sit with them. Meditate with them. Sit with the feeling. Where do you feel it in your body? Lean into that. Release the tears if you need to. Release the fear if you need to. Rewrite the story, especially if it's a heart chakra thing. If you feel the pain in your chest, rewrite the story. If you feel like you've always failed at something, say you're glad you failed at it because it's brought you closer to success, because you know more about it now. You've gained knowledge. You might have lost an opportunity, but you gained knowledge. And when you frame it like that, your mind is more ready to go after things because you feel better equipped. And Lord knows you're going to achieve that this year. So that is what I have for you, Leo. Take care. Bye. Hi, Virgo. Welcome to your full moon in Cancer reading. So Virgo, this full moon is occurring in a side of the sky for you that's very much to do with your wishes and manifestations, your intentions, your desires, as it were, and it is being supported by freedom-loving Uranus in Taurus, which is your sector of philosophy and higher ideals. So I guess what I'd like to say to you, Virgo, based on the horoscope, but also based on the cards, is where do you feel like your beliefs and your principles are maybe getting in the way of love? Maybe getting in the way of your creativity, maybe getting in the way of your self-expression, maybe getting in the way of your emotions a little bit. Virgos are well-mannered. They're inherently principled. They have a very strong moral compass they like to stand by. And for you, the full moon is exacerbating an energy of want, an energy of desire, an energy of wanting so much to believe that something is going to happen for you, wanting to believe that this wish will be fulfilled, whether it is romance, whether it is creativity, whether it's a creative success, whether it is being able to put pen to paper on something. There's a release going on here, though. And the release is saying, Virgo, that it is somewhat impossible to reach this goal without putting your defenses down just a little bit. And I know that a lot of you are probably thinking, I'm not really the problem here. It's whoever is challenging me is the issue. They say such ignorant things, or they say such stupid things, or they don't know what they're talking about in many regards. And that's okay. It's okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel very much like somebody is in the wrong. But really what this is manifesting for you, Virgo, is that where is your own ideology? Where are your own beliefs? Maybe stopping you from feeling at peace, or maybe stopping you from moving forward. And a lot of the time, in this community at least, a lot of people believe that everything is you pushed out, that there is no other person without your perception of them. They are not really who you think they are. They're your perception, that kind of thing. And oftentimes when we lock heads with somebody, it is because in both cases, both people have become close-minded. And I think for you, it's a defense thing. I think there's some kind of defense issue where you have very much based yourself in a belief system that you can't see beyond, and it is preventing you from actually getting to where you want to go. And all that you need to do around this full moon is release any kind of, and not to sacrifice your principles or your moral convictions, absolutely not. What I'm actually trying to say is that where your beliefs have become dogmatic, where your ideas have become set in stone to the point you can't operate around them, to the point they're blocking your vision of your future or your wishes in the future, especially if it's a connection. Just be careful of that. Just see where maybe some of these belief systems have made you feel unhappy, That can be breaking away from a childhood religious upbringing, or noticing that your upbringing has made you feel a certain way that you would really like to not feel anymore. Or maybe feeling like you have to fight everybody else's battle and it's only making you weary because nobody else is fighting for you. What's beautiful about this with the Page of Cups, the Seven of Wands and the Two of Wands is that there is a new beginning. There is a new path beyond these defenses, beyond feeling like you have to protect yourself so much, feeling like you have to stick up for yourself all the time, and really being imprisoned by your own mind and your own beliefs, especially about how love should be. Nobody's perfect. But where you feel like you have to be challenged all the time and defend yourself all the time, I think you want to choose a new route. You want to choose a new path. And I think for most of you, it's based in a place of love and a place of connection, a place of feeling that you would much, much more enjoy than where it is that you are now. I don't think you want to keep fighting with people. And with Mars leaving Aries in January and moving into Taurus, you'll get another look at what this actually means. You'll get another look at where, if you don't liberate yourself now from a little bit of a, if you don't think about what it is that you're really feeling, if you don't think about how your beliefs are making you feel, you're going to run into it even harder in January. You'll get a second look at it. So be mindful of it now. Just release it. And sometimes in challenging conversations, if we just open up to the answer, a very significant path becomes clear and not all is doomed. So that is what I have for you, Virgo. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Libra. Welcome to your full moon in Cancer reading. So, Libra, it is time to wrap up a project, wrap up a goal, find the winnings of it, find the success in it, find the accomplishment in what you have achieved, especially this year, especially since January. So we look back in January of 2020 and we see that there was a lunar eclipse in Cancer, marking a big change in your public image, in your career, in your working environment. Think back to January and see what was going on there in your professional life, in your long-term goal setting life, and see just how much life has changed this year. Of course, for a lot of people this year, life has changed quite a lot. And this full moon for you is a second chance at letting go of something to do with your long-term goals, your long-term accomplishments, something that has held you back a little bit. And for a lot of you, it is a desire to win, really. It's interesting though to say that, because the Six of Wands is of course a winning card. This is you winning, this is you being appreciated, having something to be proud of. The Five of Swords is saying, yeah, but at what cost? Where could you balance this out a little bit more? I think for a lot of you, this is maybe manifesting as workplace frictions, feeling a little bit like the energy of those around you that is unhelpful is being hyper exposed. Interestingly, Uranus is supporting this full moon in a way that is inciting positive change, positive surprises, and positive accomplishments for you. And with that being in the 8th house, it's very much to do with shared resources. It's very much to do with connecting with another person in terms of a success or accomplishment. It could even be a partner, an intimate connection. But this full moon really has you asking bigger questions of where you could liberate yourself in terms of career. And potentially, as I said before, that could come from a need to satisfy an ego issue. Now, ego is not to say anything to do with narcissistic energy or something like that. I know that a lot of people get confused, but ego is actually fear. So you either feel love or you either feel fear, okay? And ego is fear. Ego is a scarcity mindset where we feel like we must constantly be achieving something in order to be worth it, in order to be successful. And for you, it is really saying that, focus around this full moon on what you've achieved this year that you should be so proud of. And if you find yourself slipping into a past pattern, because bear in mind, Cancer is the past. If you find yourself slipping into a past pattern of comparing yourself to others, comparing yourself to their looks, their success, their accomplishments, their confidence, whatever that is, if you find yourself comparing yourself there, just know that that's come up for a reason. And it's actually come up to liberate you from it. It's come up to push you beyond that feeling, to really get to the root of that and say, but I am enough. I am enough. I can make these career successful moves. I can have my long-term goals and my status ambitions. I can be whatever it is that I want for my future. The 10th house is an interesting one, because it's how other people perceive us, or how we would like other people to perceive us. It's not always about career. Sometimes it's about being retired and what you do with your retirement. Other times it's about your status. Are you married? Are you single? Are you a lawyer? Are you whatever it is? It's the first thing really that people would describe you as. So it's really about examining how you feel about your status, how you feel about your worth. And I think for a lot of you, there's so much to be proud of. But Uranus is there liberating you from an old fear. The 8th house is very much to do with fears. It's very much to do with the issue of death and who you want to be when you pass to the next realm, when you pass to the other side, when you transition, as it were. And of course, the 8th house is actually more to do with death of the ego. Okay, so Uranus is trying to push you out of your own ego traps, your own fears, and what is holding you back. And for a lot of you, what's holding you back is the need to keep going to the next thing, rather than acknowledge just how well you're actually doing. And if you feel like you don't like where your career is this year, still congratulate yourself for getting out of bed this year. Congratulate yourself for trying this year. Congratulate yourself for whatever it is that's going on with your life right now, because you're a survivor at this point. And with that in mind, you can do great things. You're not stuck. But the key to getting out of this, the key to getting liberated, is this full moon and death of the ego, and knowing that you deserve great things and that you are successful right as you are. And from that point, you can do anything. So that's all I have for you, Libra. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your full moon in Cancer reading. So Scorpio, this full moon is occurring in a side of the sky for you that is very much to do with travel, higher education and philosophy. So of course at this time, these interesting times, travel is not really at the forefront of most people's minds, but that doesn't mean you can't plan ahead. Jupiter is in Aquarius in 2021. I imagine with that, a lot of people are going to be traveling. So I think there could be very significant conversations for a lot of Scorpios surrounding travel plans in the next year, especially if they're to do with business. I think for a lot of you, Scorpio, you're really casting your mind to higher horizons. And one of the ways that I'm seeing this for you is that for many of you, with Judgment in the middle, you are releasing with this Cancer full moon some past ideologies. Now, I would like you to think back to January 2020 and think around the eclipse in Cancer, just how much your mind was changing. It was changing on how you saw yourself, how you saw the world, how you saw your career. It was changing on how you communicated. It was changing how you believed in yourself and what you believed you deserved. So think back then and think now. This full moon is an opportunity to release any lingering negative ideology. Okay, so that's not about saying, negating our shadow side. When you do shadow work of any kind, when you get into anything in life that means a lot to you, be it a relationship, be it a job, you will continuously be doing shadow work in your life to overcome programming, to overcome fears, to overcome the ego. You rule the house that is to do with death of the ego. So because we have a liberating energy such as Uranus in harmony with this full moon, and Uranus is in your opposite sign, there is a liberation from an unhealthy or unhelpful belief in terms of partnerships, in terms of contracts, in terms of a legal issue. There's some kind of release there of an ideology based on the Cancer full moon that doesn't work for you, and that's okay. You might have to go through some stuff dredged up here to do with the past. And what puts your mind on the past more than anything, Scorpio? The future. So, 3 of Wands and Judgment. As much as you're trying to look forward with this Cancer full moon, you know that in order to completely progress freely, Scorpio, you have to deal with some stuff coming up here with Judgment. Now, what is it to do with? It could be to do with an earth sign, a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising, a fellow Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, or it could be to do with career. One thing I am seeing is that for many Scorpios, there's an unexpected offering. There's an unexpected offering of a career, a new job. There's an unexpected offer of commitment. There's an unexpected offer of money. There's an unexpected offer of property. There is something comes out of the blue, but it's good. And it's, if you think about it, Scorpio, in context with the year, it isn't so out of the blue, because when you look backwards, you'll see just how much work you've actually put into whatever this is over the year, okay? So it seems surprising, but it's actually based on a pretty solid foundation from what I can see here with the Knight of Pentacles, so don't worry about that. Scorpios don't really like surprises, unless they're 100% good, but the reason Scorpios don't like surprises is because Scorpios are naturally suspicious people, and if those around them have a surprise, Scorpios rarely assume it's gonna be a good thing. So this is where you could run into some past ideology issues, okay? Some past fears, some past experiences. Whatever that is, Scorpio, what it's saying is that allow the energies to come up so that you can progress with a steadier attitude, you know, with a steadier belief system, strong moral convictions, strength in self, and committed to something very Pentacles based, you know, trust, security, all those things. I do think for a lot of you, if you are in the market for a job, I am seeing Capricorn season as a very interesting time to hear from past connections surrounding your career out of the blue, and keep your ears open with your friendships. You know, I'm just looking at that with the Three of Wands, Judgment. I feel like there is an unexpected offer coming in that you really didn't see coming. So that is interesting, Scorpio. That could also come from a partner. So let me know what that is, but it's very interesting. Some of you could actually have an opportunity with a past job. That is also something that's coming up. But just remember, with Uranus being there, Uranus is trying to release us from the past. So make sure that if you are going back to an old career, or you are thinking of getting into an old career pattern or place or profession or whatever this is, that it is based on the future. You know, that things will be different in that regard. It just looks like Scorpio is starting the future by working through some stuff with the past, but it is just a temporary energy. You know, the full moons in water signs bring up a lot of emotions, so just be gentle with yourself. That's what I have for you, Scorpio. Bye. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your Cancer full moon reading. So this Cancer full moon is occurring in a side of the sky for you that's very much to do with intimacy, depth, and a death of the ego. So when I say that, the thing about this energy is that thanks to the liberation of Uranus and Taurus being in your sector of habits and health, for a lot of Sagittarians, you're going to find that there is possibly a few feelings in your body comes up at this time. You know, a few emotional feelings maybe manifest physically as a cold or some kind of knee pain. Sometimes your knee pain can be to do with your relationship with your parents or putting your best foot forward. You know, it's kind of an emotional pain. Anything that you need to deal with emotionally may come up around this full moon as a physical symptom. And that's just asking you to change your habits and really get into some kind of practice that makes you feel better. You know, whether it's through exercise, whether it's through meditation, yoga, changing your diet, eating more grounding foods like potatoes. I know you're going to say that I'm from here, so I'm going to be like potatoes. But what I actually mean is that your body is telling you something. So if there's something going wrong, Sagittarius, your body is trying to convey it to you. And I think that this full moon is a time for release. And for a lot of you, that's to do with pain surrounding the ego. You know, pain surrounding feeling not good enough, fear of the future, fear of not accomplishing what it is you want to do, fear that you're not good enough, fear that you can't move forward with an issue. And really what I'm seeing for you, Sagittarius, is that none of that is true. So if you're dealing with a flare-up of something, just know that it's your body's way of alerting you to taking care of your emotional needs as well. Oftentimes when people are really running themselves into the ground trying to achieve something, that's when they get hit by a cold or something that stops them and makes them rest, because the body can only do so much. And the thing about the relationship between the body and the ego is that the ego will always say more, and the ego's voice is so much louder than the body. For a lot of you, what I am seeing is that there's a communication issue. So what that would be the conjunction in Aquarius, your third house. A lot of you have feelings you've not been able to convey. And I think for many of you, it could be to do with masculine energies in your life, male energies in your life. Of course, it could also be to do with, if you're a mother, with your sons. But there are some emotional issues that are not being conveyed at the moment that you need to express and you need to let out, because you've been burying them in some way. And I do think that this is manifesting as a health issue. Similarly, if you're having a health issue, it's a very good time to get it looked at, because it is much to do with liberating yourself from certain pains, and sometimes the best way to do that is to see a doctor. Sometimes the best way to do that is to seek treatment, to get away from something that's really hurting your body, okay? So because this Cancer full moon is very much to do with the 8th house, and it's very much to do with our fears and our the shadow self of our personalities that we find hard to deal with, you could be finding that there are some issues that are repeating for you. With the Temperance card and the 4 of Swords, a lot of you may seek meditation as a way of healing certain feelings about yourself and about your career. I do think for many of you, you're feeling that things have been so slow, they're unbearable. And it's making you seek some kind of excitement, which is possibly why you're pushing so forward in a particular direction. But what this is saying, Sagittarius, is that rest is really very important. And I know that doesn't sound like the most fun thing for a Sagittarius, but bear in mind we're into Capricorn season, where you really want to work very hard. You really want to meet your goals. You really want to set up security for yourself, as you can see with the Knight of Pentacles. But it is about doing that and balancing your emotional needs too, rather than burning out. Okay, so keep that in mind, Sagittarius, and I will see you in a much more exciting full moon in Leo next month. Okay, just hold out until then, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your Cancer full moon reading. So this is an interesting one for you, Capricorn, based on the astrology, because the full moon is in your opposite sign of Cancer, your 7th house of partnerships, and it is in harmony with Uranus, the planet of rebellion, of freedom, in your sector of love, romance, creativity, pleasure. So one of the things that I'm drawn to with the horoscope, but also your cards, is that a lot of you could be dealing with sacral chakra blockages. So that can manifest as feeling a lack of passion, a lack of confidence, a lack of energy, a lack of vitality. And the best way that if you're experiencing any of that, or on the flip side, if you're overdoing that energy and you're feeling dramatic or manipulative, that can be an imbalance. So what that is that you need to eat more orange foods, dance more, have more fun, do things just for fun, especially when it comes to a partner, doing fun things with your partner, having a party of some kind, socially distanced, of course, just your own party, you can have a party by yourself. But what this is coming up as, Capricorn, is a very significant culmination since June. Well, since the summer solstice on the 21st of June, that's when there was a solar eclipse, a new moon solar eclipse in Cancer. And this is kind of a reaping the rewards of that energy. So think back to then what you were doing and have a little think about what that means now. So this is all about finding feelings of excitement, of freedom, of change in your creative life, in your romantic life. I think for a lot of Capricorns, based on this being your season and this being a full moon in your partnership zone, you could easily hear from somebody from the past. You could have a big decision to make with a current partner in terms of the future. So we have Judgment, King of Wands, 3 of Wands. especially if you're dealing with someone who is a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising. That can be Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. It doesn't have to be, though. It can just be someone that is very passionate, because this is where the energy is going, okay? So someone you have a lot of passionate feelings for. There's a lot of energy coming up, a lot of things coming out, and sometimes with Uranus that can be surprising. For some of you, that could be a surprise pregnancy with a partner and having to plan that in the future. You know, the Three of Wands can be you, them, and a baby. That can be what the ship is coming in. You could be deciding to move somewhere with a partner. You could have a partner seemingly come out of the blue. You just weren't expecting them to appear in your life, and bada bing, bada boom, there they are. But with this being such a freedom-loving energy, it's about releasing yourself from the past in some way, shape, or form. Perhaps some of you are finally able to let somebody from the past go, or let a pattern from the past go, or let a certain argument with a partner go, and really see the new horizons, see the new opportunities, see the future. For a lot of you, the end of the year does mark, a time when you think of your goals for the future. I do feel like a lot of you are doing that in terms of your ambitions and what it is that you truly are passionate about. Because, Uranus in the 5th house is an interesting one. It is very much to do with generating a bit of excitement and a bit of surprise in whatever area it is in. It doesn't actually mean that surprises have to be bad. I think a lot of people feel that way with Uranus because, back in the day, I know Uranus wasn't discovered as far back as the other planets, but through humanity, I think a lot of the time there has been this fear of change generated, and this assumption that change is a bad thing. That's why people didn't really understand Aquarius as a sign, because Aquarius could see beyond what was happening right now. So for a lot of you, the Uranus aspect to your 5th house is making you feel like you want to have more fun, you want to have more excitement. And certainly with Saturn being out of your sign, I think you can indulge yourself a little bit there. You can have a little bit of fun, you can have a little bit of excitement, you can let go of something that's been holding you back and weighing you down for such a long time. For a lot of you as well, that Mars-Pluto aspect that happened just before Christmas could have alerted you to some issues surrounding the family. And again, I think you're trying to see the bigger picture. I think you're trying to see into the future, and you're trying to stop feeling so heavy. I think a lot of you have had some kind of liberation that's been hard, for sure, but you're very much looking towards the future, and that's very important. So I'm with you on that one, Capricorn. I hope you have a beautiful full moon, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Aquarius, welcome to your Cancer full moon reading. So the astrology of this full moon, Aquarius, is very much to do with your 6th house of health and habit, and a positive aspect from Uranus, your ruler, in your 4th house of security, of the past, of home and family. So what's really interesting for you, Aquarius, is that with your cards, there's very much an indication of a new beginning. Now, we know that there has been a Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in your sign, and that is very much the energy of the Fool. It was in the 1st degree of Aquarius, so there has been a new beginning for you. And as a fixed sign, I have to say, new beginnings can take a while to adjust to. It's not like you just suddenly woke up and the whole world was completely different and you were completely changed and everything was dandy. Not so much, but what I can see with this full moon is that because of its positive alignment with a fixed star, which is also at 9 degrees of Cancer, a fixed star that represents good health, this full moon for you is a time where your health is at its most important to you. You start thinking more about your body, about your well-being, about your diet, about your exercise regime, and what habits are working for you and what is not. So around this full moon, I think for a lot of you, you could be releasing some unhealthy habit or unhealthy job that is not working for you. And for a lot of you, this could also represent working from home again. Maybe some of you were back out in the world and now you're working from home thanks to that supportive aspect from Uranus. But the way that I see that for most of you, especially with the Empress card, is that this supportive energy from your home means that either for some Aquarians you're moving to a new home, you're moving to be closer to work, or you're now able to move to a different area, or you are redecorating, or you're thinking of moving, or you are thinking of starting a family, is one thing that seems to be coming up with this energy. For a lot of you, there could be a surprise pregnancy, I have to say, because the fourth house with Uranus there, it could be a surprise baby, it could be a surprise addition to the family, it could be surprises from your children. Maybe they're deciding to move, maybe they're deciding to change their profession, whatever this is. There's always an element of surprise with Uranus involved, but really, Aquarius, this full moon for you is asking you what you'd like to release in order to make way for an energy that is more abundant, but also more carefree. With the Fool, the Three of Wands, and the Empress, it's about letting the abundance come to you, inviting it in and being welcoming to it, being a positive environment to accept it. So really, Aquarius, one of the ways that you must feel around this full moon, or one of the ways that you'll probably feel, I'm not going to tell you how to feel, but what I recommend, one of the things that you do is think about the thing that you want to manifest, because I'm guessing there's something. And whatever it is that you want to manifest, imagine how you receive it. What mood are you in? What state of mind are you in? And are you open to it? And what is the most likely way that you can receive it? What does your state of mind have to be? What do you have to be wearing? What do you have to be eating, drinking, whatever it is? Just imagine what way you must be to receive it. What state of mind, most importantly? Because I do feel with the Three of Wands and the Empress, there's a manifestation. And I think it's the first part of your new journey with the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, to be honest with you. But if you think back to June, the summer solstice, maybe it was a winter solstice if you're in the southern hemisphere, but the solstice on June 21st, what were you doing? Because that's a big theme. There is some kind of culmination of energy or some new big thing happening for you that was happening around that time. So there is a coming together of energy. It's really very important for you, but really very beneficial. What you're letting go of in your life, Aquarius, in terms of a habit, in terms of a way of behaving, a way of working, is making way for something far more fulfilling. It really is. So that is all I have for you, Aquarius. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces, welcome to your Cancer full moon reading and horoscope. So Pisces, this full moon is occurring in your creative pleasure zone. And it's got a big theme leading back to June 21st, the solstice. Whether that was the summer solstice or the winter solstice, wherever you were, depends. But if you think back to what was going on at that time, there is a culmination of that energy. There's a development of that energy. And thanks to the supportive aspect with Uranus, and Uranus is in your communication sector, one of the things that I'm seeing for you is a very strong creative spark, okay? There is writing, singing, painting, anything that puts pen to paper or uses a creative part of your brain, something that is very important to you. It's important to most Pisceans to be creative. There is a creative energy where you can create something very important. For a lot of you, I think this is a manifestation of love. And the reason that I'm saying that is because of the Ace of Wands, Two of Cups, and the Magician. Because of the third house aspect, there seems to be, to do in your romantic life, there seems to be a communication, an exchange of words, something that you've been manifesting possibly since June, but it could be beyond, it could be after, but there is an energy of words flowing, of having a surprising, exciting conversation, especially in matters of the heart, but also to do with creativity, being able to write a song, being able to write a book, being able to write, I'm not going to say you're going to write a full book in the whole day of the full moon, but I think a lot of you are being blessed around the full moon with a creative idea that you can really work with. And really, because Uranus is such a liberating energy and it's in your third house, I feel that a lot of Pisceans are going to be having conversations that feel really very liberating. With the Ace of Wands, there's a spark. With the Two of Cups, it's a conversation. There's a conversation that's very liberating, begins a new chapter, is exciting, is promising. For a lot of you, this could be a new love interest if you're single. For a lot of you in a relationship, this could be making the bond a little bit stronger in some way, having an important conversation, planning something significant for the future. But really, this is a beautiful easing of some kind of restriction for you in terms of what it is that you want to say, especially if you've had feelings on your mind that you've not expressed, you've had things that you wanted to say but you just couldn't find the words. Whatever it is, Uranus is bringing you some freedom. In fact, for a lot of Pisceans, you might find that around the full moon you have a little bit of word vomit and you say things that you didn't mean to say, but in some way or another they manifest beautifully for you and you wish you'd said them sooner. That seems to be a theme coming up for you guys. And a full moon in the 5th house is very much to do with romantic energy. So it is being able to let go of some, or creative blocks, letting go of a creative block, letting go of a romantic fear, letting go of a need to be on point all the time, needing to be funny all the time, needing to be beautiful all the time, needing to be creative all the time. You don't always have all the answers, and that's okay. This is giving you your manifestation spark back. In fact, Pisces, I really feel like this full moon is a beautiful time for you to charge your crystals, to be in nature, to do things that you love to do, because your energies are flowing, your spark is flowing. This full moon's very much in alignment with you. And in Capricorn season, Pisces, it is wish fulfillment season. So do bear that in mind. It is a time to get your manifestations going. And in fact, the cards are actually leading up to the new moon in Capricorn, which is also an important time in January to make intentions for your wishes, okay? Because it is the 11th house. So bear that in mind, Pisces. It looks very interesting. I think a lot of you could realize that someone you're dating is the one, or you could realize that you're really in love with someone, or you could realize that you really want to spend your life with somebody. There's just something to do with love and manifestation. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's really intriguing. In fact, maybe some of you started manifesting back with the Cancerian lunar eclipse in January, or there was some sort of significant breakup around then that is leading you into something quite extraordinary here. It looks like the next the next step of a journey with somebody romantically, and it looks like it's something you've manifested, and it looks positive. So I think this is beautiful, Pisces. I know your cards have been kind of funky lately, so it's really lovely to see something beautiful for you. Have a wonderful full moon, Pisces. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, and welcome to your Cancer full moon horoscope and reading. So Aries, there is a clear cut to the past here. The full moon is in Cancer, which is your 4th house of security, home, the past, and how you developed as a child. So the energies surrounding this are much to do, because of Uranus being in the 2nd house, liberating yourself from something that was not secure. And for a lot of you, I think that's career. So one of the things that I'm seeing with the Ace of Swords, the Death card, and the Page of Pentacles is that a lot of you are looking for a new job, you're looking for a new career, you're looking for a new salary, you're looking for something that feels very secure. And I think these feelings probably began around June. I think that there was some kind of communication or significant event occurred in June that has made you really think about what it is that you need in order to feel secure and content with what you have. So with the Ace of Swords and the Death card, the Cancer full moon can pull up, because it's in your 4th house, it can pull up a lot of family trauma. It can pull up pain bodies, pain triggers of things that happened to you when you were a child, or family dynamics that were problematic, or experiences when you were a child. It can really give you some interesting or unusual dreams. And all of this is to give you clarity so that you can build something secure for yourself. Now, with Uranus being in Taurus, your liberation comes from wanting something solid. And because of the Page of Pentacles, I think for many of you that is in terms of your workspace. Many of you are thinking of starting your own business, or starting a course, or starting a new chapter in your work life, or a new chapter in your schooling life. And this involves leaving behind something that has been holding you back mentally. Now, the reason I say mentally is because with Uranus in the picture, it's a lot to do with mental stimulation. And because it's in your 2nd house, you're really stimulated to make more money, or save more money, or be stable, or spend money to make money. Money is on your mind, but also things that you value. And you've become very razor sharp on what it is that matters and what it is that doesn't. So in order to get to that point, Aries, this Cancer full moon has probably pulled up some interesting information for you in terms of your heart, your soul, what it is that makes you feel vulnerable. And a lot of the times when Aries feel vulnerable, they can put on such a bravado through laughter, through joking, through flexing even, that people don't know that they're vulnerable. And Aries are very sensitive. Aries are very sensitive deep down, so it can be hard for other people to see that you're suffering sometimes, or that you're hurting. And one thing that I would say for you, Aries, is that with people in your life that you can trust, this is a beautiful full moon for opening up to them and showing them where some of your fears are, or some of your vulnerabilities are. You know, we're in Capricorn season, so you're really thinking about your career future. You're really thinking about the name you want to make for yourself, the goals that you want to accomplish. And it's okay to accept that you're starting over with something. It's okay to begin a new chapter. It's okay to, move out of one race into another race. All of this is healthy, and all of this is supporting your growth and supporting building something for you that you actually really want. And with Uranus being in your second house, if things aren't working, there are wonderful ideas come to your mind in order to achieve it. Uranus is associated with genius. You could have some very interesting sparks of how to proceed. And chances are, with the Ace of Swords and the Death card, the answers you need to proceed come from you stepping away from the past. Perhaps it's cutting communication with someone in your past that's unhealthy. Perhaps it's deciding that you're severing ties with a job and you're not looking back. Anything could be possible with this. But really, Aries, what it is for you is, understanding with this energy that people in your family will have different opinions, that people in your family will have differences, they'll be unique. You might make a change in your housing situation with this full moon where you're living. There could be some changes surrounding that. But it's understanding that breathing in excitement and fresh energy can feel like a death of sorts. You're letting go of an old way of living. And that can feel both exciting and also sort of bittersweet. And just know that all those feelings are valid under the Cancer full moon, and you're okay to share them. Okay, so that's what I have for you, Aries. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Taurus, welcome to your Cancer full moon astrology and tarot reading. So Taurus, Uranus is in your sign and is harmonizing with this full moon. Now Cancer is an energy very compatible with the sign of Taurus. It is your third house. It's much to do with communication, it's much to do with siblings, and it's much to do with your neighbours. Because of the liberation aspect here with Uranus, that can be really very surprising. For many people in your life, you are seeking to be a liberator. You're seeking to give advice, you're seeking to encourage, you're seeking to guide, especially if it's a sibling. Now, that is all very well, but there are some changes coming up in the way that you communicate. Someone may have alerted you to the way you communicate. At times, maybe some of it is unhealthy, or maybe some of it is wonderful. There is an emphasis on the way that you speak and the way that you listen. And the third house is actually very much associated, because of the communication aspect, with the throat chakra. Now, Taurus, you actually rule the throat chakra. And one of the things that I can see with your cards, because of all the blue, is a lot of you are seeking around this full moon to speak your mind more, to speak your truth more. And maybe for some of you that involves expressing that you have a boundary. Maybe for some of you that is expressing that you want to move. Maybe that's expressing that you want to move away from something. Maybe it's expressing that you're done with something. What's interesting about your cards, Taurus, is that you seem to be walking towards partnership. But with the Eight of Swords, there is an element of restriction. So one of the ways that I'm seeing this for you, Taurus, is that you're learning how important it is to communicate your needs to another partner, to a friend, to a sibling, to a family member, and how important it is to express yourself so that you can be authentic. And you find with this full moon, this epiphany of sorts, that the more authentic you are, the easier it is to fall into alignment with the things that you want, When people are very much in their truth, when people are very much sure that they are confident enough to speak their mind, which usually only becomes an issue when you have been, beaten down by other people's preferences in communication. Sometimes you can be very honest, but if you go up against a gaslighter, that can really block your throat chakra. So I do think for a lot of you, you have felt very liberated by leaving certain things behind and stepping more into your truth, more into your power to communicate, to express yourself. And one of the ways that seems to be aspecting based on your cards is love. And it's highlighting where you feel restricted in love, or where you feel like you've always been with people who didn't let you speak your truth or didn't let you be who you are. And I think a lot of you are making a very bold step around this full moon to say, no, this is me. And I will only accept people around me who are able to converse like adults, to have conversations, to express ourselves and still love each other unconditionally. I think a lot of you are stepping away from communications that feel forced, that feel unhealthy, that feel problematic, where someone is being dramatic, or as I say, gaslighting. It's about choosing to move away from people like that and step into relationships that feel authentic and feel like you can express yourself and can communicate. Because truthfully, if somebody blocks your communication, that's not your person. That's not who you're meant to be with. If they won't let you speak your mind, or if they don't like it. And you know what? It's perfectly fine if people don't all have the same opinions and they don't gel and they're not meant to be in each other's lives. Those type of things are fine. Because of Uranus being in your sign, you're choosing what's best for you. You're liberating yourself, and the right people will be okay with that. You should never feel guilty for setting a boundary. No matter who it's with. Because those that are not okay with your boundaries are fundamentally not okay with you. And why would you want them around? So if you are looking for love, Taurus, with Mars coming up in your sign, you're about to get a confidence boost. So I can see it happening already with the energies of this full moon, because you are liberating yourself with some kind of communication style. And then when Mars moves into your sign and it connects with Uranus, there's going to be big explosive energies. And that's an interesting energy. It is very explosive. So you want to make sure that you're not surrounding yourself by people that are continuously pushing your buttons and manipulating you in that way to the point of hostility or being volatile. Okay, Taurus? So use this full moon as a time to really cleanse out some of that energy. Say the things that you need to say. Maybe you don't even have to say them to the source, but venting to someone you really care about, maybe a sibling, maybe a family member, letting your emotions out in a way that's healthy and stops you feeling restricted. Because this is a beautifully liberating full moon for you, Taurus. Okay, so that's all I have for you. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Gemini, welcome to your Cancer full moon astrology and tarot. So this full moon is occurring in Cancer, and for you this is putting a big spotlight on your finances and what makes you feel secure. Now you're being liberated there. Okay, so you're being liberated from a lot of pain. Okay, and one of the reasons I want to say that is because Uranus is in your 12th house. It is very much seeking to liberate you, to let you let go of past connections, past pains, past relationships, friendships, work connections, romantic relationships. It's helping you let go of a lot of disappointment. It's helping you let go of a lot of worries, a lot of fears, a lot of betrayals, and it's helping you let go of a lot of things existing in your emotional depths, in your unconscious mind. Things that have been holding you back professionally. So you might think, why would something emotionally to do in my personal life hold me back professionally? Well, any kind of emotional grief can really impact your movement forward, especially if it's unresolved, because the psyche will be hurt. And for a lot of you Geminis, you've maybe been in the wrong career, or you've maybe felt like your career wasn't getting off the ground. We're looking back to June's energy, so maybe there was some news or new beginning around then that you're reaching a culmination of, especially emotionally. Now, because this full moon is in your 2nd house, it's really shining a light on what makes you feel secure and what is built to last. And I think for a lot of Geminis, the run up to this full moon may have felt like tower moments. But really it's been more like a purging. It's been more of a rectifying. It's been more of a karmic reset for you to build something new, especially in terms of the people you keep around you or the professional development that you make. I think a lot of Geminis with this full moon are ready to let go of some past pain, of some insecurity, of some upset, and of something that was just too much to carry on your own. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I've always noticed Geminis can be actually quite proud, in terms of asking for help, or in terms of asking for a shoulder to cry on or to listen to them. They don't. Well, this is a generalization, so I won't say too much about it because I'm generalizing, and obviously everyone's different. Everyone has different moons and things, but I do feel for some Geminis, they find it hard to open up to people in their life if they're really suffering. And this full moon for you is a really beautiful point to, establish who your most important connections are and who do you go to with emotional suffering. And maybe it's time to say thank you, or maybe it's time to open up a little bit more, or maybe it's time to focus your energy on those that are really there for you rather than those that are continuously disappointing you. And in terms of career as well, if it's nothing to do with your emotional life, the setbacks that you have been the setbacks that have been occurring for you, especially in terms of money and in terms of security, because Uranus coming in here and adding a little bit of liberation, it feels like it's liberating you, Gemini, from a worry. It's liberating you for some things going on in your subconscious mind that you weren't even aware of, your unconscious mind, some patterns, some behaviors, some things that keep repeating that you feel like you've no control over. This full moon is giving you the tools to take back that control and start rebuilding whatever it is that you need to rebuild. Okay? And appreciating that you can let go of this year emotionally now. Let go of this year in terms of your feelings, in terms of your frustrations, and be ready to start over, because we are moving into a new era of air sign energy, one that's going to be more conducive to your well-being than all this earth. Okay? So with that shift, it is important to stay grounded, to focus on your root chakra, to practice being grounded in nature, and to practice trust in the future and building much more solid connections for yourself that you can count on. So it's okay to grieve, it's okay to release, it's okay to let go of this year, maybe in a ritual, maybe with good friends if you can, depending on where you are, maybe release with family, maybe release just with those that matter the most to you, and focusing on that. And with that will come a new year. That's all I have for you, Gemini. I hope you have a beautiful full moon, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.